Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Philosophy of Life channel, where you can reflect, awaken, and connect with your true self. Today, we will listen.
The end of the world has been foretold by God. The end of the world is a topic that attracts the attention not only of theologians and scientists but also of many people in society. In major religious traditions, especially Catholicism, the concept of the end of the world is associated with the return of Jesus Christ on the Last Judgment Day. However, not only stopping at religious doctrines, the end of the world is also widely discussed in the fields of science and popular culture, especially when people are faced with natural and man-made disasters. This article will explore the mystery of the apocalypse from a Catholic perspective, delving into the divine prophecies and signs that Jesus gave to his disciples, and examining the explanations and inferences of theologians and Enlightenment scholars. In addition, we will also examine the scenarios of the apocalypse from a scientific perspective to provide a more comprehensive view of this topic. The apocalypse from a Catholic perspective in Catholicism. The apocalypse is the time when Jesus Christ will return in glory to judge mankind. According to the teachings, this event will close the history of mankind and the present world, opening a new heaven and a new earth, where God will complete the plan of salvation and establish the kingdom of the President. The second coming of Jesus Christ in the Holy Scriptures, especially the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus directly spoke about the last day and the second coming. While sitting on Mount Olivet, the disciples came to him and asked, "Please tell us when these things will happen. And what is the reference point to know the day of your coming about the last day?" This question reflects the natural curiosity of the disciples, as well as of people throughout the ages. Jesus answered by listing a number of signs that would foretell the end of the world. But he also emphasized that no one knows the day and the hour except the Father. Jesus said, "But of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father." This means that, although signs of the end times may appear, no one can predict exactly when they will occur. Signs of the end times. Jesus listed a number of important signs that believers should look out for to recognize the nearness of the end times. These signs were recorded in the Gospel of Matthew and have become the basis for many eschatological teachings throughout the history of Christianity. False Messiah. Jesus warned about the appearance of many impostors who would come to be called Don Quixote. "Take heed that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, saying, 'I am Don Quixote,' and will deceive everyone." This is the first sign that emphasizes that there will be people who will call themselves Don Quixote to deceive everyone. The emergence of these impostors reflects the instability in society, when people are easily deceived in times of crisis and want to seek salvation. War. Jesus also mentioned war and seek war. "You will hear of war and seek war. See. Do not be terrified. For these things must happen. But they will not be the last time. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. The strife between nations, wars, and violence will be a sign of universal confusion." However, Jesus also noted that this was only the beginning of the sign, and that it was not yet the end of the plague, famine, and plague. Another sign that Jesus gave was the appearance of famines and earthquakes in various places. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. But all of these are just the beginning of the pains. These natural disasters are just the beginning of the pains before the world plunges into even more difficult times. Persecution. Jesus warned his disciples that they would face persecution for his sake. "Now they will hand you over, and they will persecute you, and they will kill you. You will be hated by all nations and animals because of my name. Now many will be offended, people will betray each other and animals will hate each other. Many false prophets will arise and deceive many people. This will be a time of great difficulty and trial for believers, as they will be persecuted for their faith. Many will be deceived by false prophets, and betrayal will be widespread." Jesus spoke of a time of great trouble, such as has never occurred since the beginning of the world until now, and never will occur again. He also spoke of a terrible abomination. Symbols of adultery and blasphemy will appear in the holy place. Then the people of the land of Judea will need to flee to escape the destruction. The sun will be darkened. Finally, Jesus prophesied about natural upheavals when the sun would be darkened and the moon would not give its light. Immediately after those tribulations, the sun would be darkened and the moon would not give its light. The stars would fall from the sky and the powers in the heavens would be shaken. This is the final sign, indicating a great change in the cosmic order, preparing for the return of Jesus. The last judgment day according to the Catholic view. The last day is also the last judgment day when all people will be resurrected and face the judgment of God. This is the time when God will divide life and death and decide the fate of the world. Particular judgment and middle judgment. The Bible mentions two main types of judgment. Particular judgment takes place immediately after each person dies, when their soul is judged by God and where it will go. This is heaven, hell, if it is necessary to judge, or hell, if it rejects God's grace. The middle judgment takes place on the day of judgment when all people will be resurrected from the dead. At this time, all good and evil deeds will be revealed to the whole of humanity and each person will be judged fairly. While religion provides theological concepts about the day of judgment, scientists have also proposed many scenarios based on natural phenomena that could cause the destruction of the earth and life on it. These scenarios are not based on prophecies, but on scientific studies of the age of the universe, its natural energy sources, and the threats from the surrounding environment. One of the most popular scenarios of the end of the world is the depletion of the sun's energy. The sun is the main source of life on Earth, but it cannot last forever. According to astronomers, the sun is currently in its mid-bulge phase. In about 5 billion years, it will transition into a red giant phase and begin to expand. At that time, the sun's temperature will increase significantly, causing nearby planets such as Mercury, Venus, and possibly Earth to starve. Eventually, the sun will collapse and become a white dwarf, and life on Earth will cease to exist. Another risk that could lead to doomsday is the collision of the Earth with a large eclipse. Earth's history has seen many eclipse collisions that have caused human casualties. The most notable of these was the impact about 66 million years ago that led to the extinction of the mollusks. Scientists today do not rule out the possibility that a major eclipse could once again hit the Earth, causing total annihilation. Such a collision could destroy entire ecosystems, cause tsunamis, earthquakes, and change the global climate. Although autonomous agencies are keeping a close eye on near-Earth objects, it is extremely difficult to completely prevent a major collision. Nuclear disasters like this do not come from nature, but from technology itself. Nuclear war has always been a potential threat to humanity. If a nuclear war broke out between nuclear-armed powers, the consequences would be horrendous. In addition to the casualties caused by nuclear weapons, radioactive fallout would spread across the globe, contaminating the environment, causing disease and possibly leading to the extinction of humanity. Experts warn that after a major nuclear explosion, global temperatures could plummet, causing a phenomenon known as nuclear winter. At that time, food and water resources will become scarce, pushing people into a state of harsh survival. Climate change. In recent times, climate change has become an urgent threat to the world. Industrial activities, resource exploitation and greenhouse gas emissions are pressing the Earth. The effects of climate change are not limited to melting ice caps and rising sea levels, but can also cause serious environmental disasters such as storms, floods, droughts and crop failures. If the Earth's temperature continues to rise, ecosystems will be destroyed, leading to mass extinctions of animal and plant species and reducing the ability of humans to sustain life. Although humans have taken measures to reduce the effects of climate change, the effects of climate change continue to increase and may lead to irreversible consequences. Global pandemic. Another scenario related to the Qin dynasty is the global pandemic that we have recently witnessed with the COVID-19 pandemic. Although COVID-19 has not resulted in the mass extinction of the entire nation, it is a warning about the vulnerability of humans to traditional diseases. A new global pandemic with the development of a superbug or virus that is highly contagious and has a high probability of causing the collapse of the global health system and causing the mass extinction of a portion of the population. Ecosystem collapse. Humans rely heavily on natural ecosystems for everything from providing food and clean water to regulating the climate. However, overexploitation of natural resources, deforestation and pollution are pushing the Earth's ecosystems to dangerous limits. If ecosystems collapse, the resources on which humans depend will be depleted, leading to famine, water crises and irreversible environmental degradation. Expansion of the universe and the end of thermodynamics in cosmological studies. One possible scenario is that the universe continues to expand to a point where all matter will be completely expanded and dispersed. This is related to the concept of the Big Freeze, or thermodynamic end. When the temperature of the universe drops to a point where all chemical and physical reactions stop, it will lead to the end of life and the existence of the universe as we know it. Doomsday preparation and attitudes. Whether the apocalypse is for religious or scientific reasons, the important thing is not to worry about when or how it will happen, but how we live in the present and prepare for the future. Spiritual preparation in the Catholic perspective. The apocalypse is not just a scary event, but also a time for God to complete his mission. Believers are called to live in vigilance and spiritual preparation. Jesus encouraged his disciples to pray constantly and live uprightly, because no one knows the day or hour when God will answer. In the book of Revelation, God promised that after suffering and trials, a new heaven and a new earth would be created where people would live in peace and righteousness. For Catholics, this vision of hope is not an escape from reality, but an encouragement to live each day to the fullest in their own lives and those of their loved ones. Practical action, in addition to spiritual preparation, is also needed to deal with the dangers of school and society. Climate change, pandemics and nuclear war are not just distant concepts, but existential challenges that we must face. Protecting the environment, reducing emissions, limiting nuclear weapons and building strong health systems are all necessary steps to protect the Earth and its people from the dangers that lead to destruction. Governments, organizations and individuals all have a shared responsibility in this regard. The mystery of the end of the world is a deep and complex subject, closely linked to religious beliefs and scientific knowledge. From a Catholic perspective, the end of the world is not only a time of destruction, but also the time when God completes his plan of salvation when the Jesucristo returns in his royal throne to judge humanity. Meanwhile, from a scientific perspective, the scenarios of the end of the world such as climate change, asteroid impacts or nuclear war also show the real risks that humans need to face and solve. The important thing is that, instead of being afraid, each of us should live responsibly, always prepare our hearts and take practical actions to deal with the risks, and at the same time build a better world. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Drop your thoughts on the apocalypse in the comments, let's talk about it. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Drop your thoughts on the apocalypse in the comments, let's talk about it.